The Windsor chair. Originally made in the English countryside in the early 18th century, it was crafted by rural artisans using whatever wood was available. The seat was typically carved from elm, the legs from ash or beech. Its defining features are the wooden spindle back and the splayed legs. In England, in its earliest days, it was used in the garden settings of aristocratic country houses. To protect them from the weather, they were often painted. When the Windsor arrived in colonial America, it became something else entirely. American craftsmen adapted it, adding regional variations and bolder forms. That made all the difference, setting the American Windsor apart from its English ancestor. It became an icon in the history of design and profoundly influenced both colonial and modern furniture. The wingback chair. It emerged in England at the end of the 17th century, with the sole purpose of retaining the heat given off by fireplaces and blocking the drafts that swept through the house. The wingback solved this with simple elegance, high wings extending from the top of the back down to the arms. Although the earliest versions were made entirely of wood with minimal padding, they quickly evolved into luxurious pieces. It is quite common to find them upholstered in velvet and leather. Over the centuries, despite its utilitarian nature, it became a symbol of classic elegance. Today, it is fully upholstered. Although classic, it has served as inspiration for several contemporary reinterpretations by established designers, such as the line designed by Tom Dixon, proving the versatility of this piece of furniture. The Chippendale chair. The Chippendale chair emerged in 18th century England, created by the renowned cabinet maker Thomas Chippendale. It has striking features that include a detailed backsplat, curved cabriole legs, and ball and claw feet. The style revolutionized furniture design of the era by blending influences from French Rococo, Gothic, and Chinese elements. What united all of these variations was an exceptional standard of craftsmanship and a visual richness that had previously been available only to the very wealthy. The Chippendale chair became the standard of Georgian elegance on both sides of the Atlantic, and American versions, particularly those made in Philadelphia, are considered among the finest furniture ever produced in the United States. The Chesterfield chair. The Chesterfield armchair is a classic icon of 18th century British design. The armchair counterpart to the famous sofa, it carries the same visual authority. Its striking design features arms and back at the same height, along with deep button tufting. Decorative nailhead trim runs along the base. And almost universally, leather. Dark, rich, and beautifully aged. Like the sofa, the Chesterfield armchair traces its origin to the commission of Lord Philip Stanhope, the 4th Earl of Chesterfield, in 18th century England. The specific request, a seat that would allow upright posture without wrinkling one's clothes, produced a form so perfectly resolved that it has survived virtually unchanged for 3 centuries. The Barcelona chair. In 1929, an architect designed a chair for a king and queen and accidentally created one of the most influential objects of the 20th century. Ludwig Mies van der Rohe designed the Barcelona chair for the German pavilion at the International Exposition in Barcelona, specifically as seating for the King and Queen of Spain during their official visit. Made entirely from modern industrial materials, the result was a chair of crossed polished steel legs supporting leather cushions in a form of almost pure geometry. No wood, no carving, and no historical reference. Just steel, leather, and mathematical proportion. Its low profile, polished chrome scissor-form steel legs, and leather back and seat made up of 40 individual tufted leather squares created a visual language that felt simultaneously ancient and completely new. It has been in continuous production since 1929 and looks no more dated today than it did then. The Eames lounge chair. There are chairs that are comfortable. There are chairs that are beautiful. And then there is the Eames lounge chair, which managed to be both at a moment when most designers believed you had to choose. Charles and Ray Eames designed their iconic lounge chair in 1956 using their pioneering bent plywood method. With this chair, they set out to create the warm, receptive look of a well-used baseball mitt. The result was 3 curved plywood shells, back, seat, and ottoman, each upholstered in leather cushions, mounted on a cast aluminum base that swivels smoothly in any direction. Warm and human in its materials, precise and modern in its engineering. The Eames lounge chair was introduced to the American public on the television program Home in 1956, and the response was immediate. It was a chair that looked like the future, but felt like coming home. It has been in continuous production at Herman Miller ever since, and is today one of the most recognized and most copied chair designs in history. The egg chair. Created in 1958 by Danish architect Arne Jacobsen, it is a chair unlike anything seen before. The egg chair has no straight lines, no flat surfaces, no historical references. It is a single, continuous sculptural shell, tilted back at a precise angle, mounted on a 4-pointed aluminum base. Fully upholstered in fabric or leather, the shell wraps around the sitter in an embrace that is simultaneously architectural and deeply personal. Its silhouette nods to the classic wingback chair and reflects the broader mid-century modern design principle of combining art, function, and ergonomics. Like the wingback before it, the egg creates a zone of privacy within a public space, a room within a room. Jacobsen once said that a chair should be a flattering background for the person sitting in it. The egg chair, 7 decades later, still proves him right. The tulip chair. The tulip chair was designed between 1955 and 1956 by Finnish architect and designer Eero Saarinen and is an icon of modernism. It is a single, continuous sculptural form that completely eliminated the conventional 4-leg structure. A molded fiberglass shell supported by a single pedestal base in cast aluminum with an upholstered seat cushion that can be removed entirely. The form is organic, unified, and completely resolved. It looks as though it grew from the floor rather than was placed upon it. Saarinen called it part of his pedestal collection, a deliberate attempt to clear the visual clutter from the floor of a room. The irony is that although he solved the problem visually, the chair appears to have a single material throughout, the technology of the time forced a compromise. The pedestal base had to be aluminum, while the shell above it was fiberglass. The perfectly unified material he dreamed of is still technically impossible to achieve. The Louis XVI chair. The Louis XVI chair emerged in France in the 1760s, marking the transition from the Rococo style, with its freer curves, to the neoclassical style. Inspired by the archaeological discoveries at Pompeii and Herculaneum, French designers turned back to the clean geometry of classical antiquity. Its features include straight, tapered legs, most often with vertical fluting reminiscent of classical columns. The backs are rectangular or oval with carved details, and the upholstery is typically silk damask or fine wool.
The composition is always balanced, symmetrical, and refined. The Louis XVI chair became the defining aesthetic of pre-revolutionary France, furnishing Versailles, Marie Antoinette's rooms, and the Ancien Regime at its most refined and most fragile. Today, reproductions are made everywhere, and the original form continues to influence formal chair design across the world. The ghost chair. In 2002, French designer Philippe Starck did something that sounds almost impossible. He made the Louis XVI chair, one of the most traditional forms in furniture history, entirely transparent. The Louis Ghost chair, produced by Cartel in injection-molded polycarbonate, takes the exact silhouette of a Louis XVI armchair and reproduces it in a single piece of crystal-clear plastic. The result is a chair that is simultaneously traditional and completely contemporary. It references the past without being trapped by it. It is decorative without being heavy. It occupies physical space without visually claiming it. The ghost chair became one of the best-selling chair designs in history, appearing in restaurants, hotels, events, and homes across the world. The success of the ghost chair opened the door to an entire family of ghosts. The line itself grew and gained new successful versions, such as the Victoria Ghost, the armless version of the original chair, also designed by Stark.